Elections in India are an expensive affair. In fact, the 2014 general elections was considered the second most expensive election in the world, with over 30,000 crore rupees being spent by political parties, their candidates, and the government. Out of this, the two major national parties have filed an official election expenditure of over rupees 1,000 crores, though the actual cost tends to be a lot higher and, in fact, a lot harder to calculate, since much of this cost is borne by supporters of the party who pay for most of the rallies and the advertisements. But even looking at the official expenditure, there is really no legitimate way to find who funds these parties, as when it comes to electoral funding in India, there is very little transparency. So in this episode or so, basically, let's look at some of the institutional loopholes that allow electoral funding in India to remain such a secretive, non-transparent and under-the-table affair.
In this poll season, who is paying for the party? There's a crying need for transparency in political funding, but do political parties actually want that? The Association for Democratic Reforms, which is a think tank, has come up with a report that says more than 50% of funds of political parties come from unknown sources.
Firstly, let's talk about cash payments. Hashtag totally not black money. All cash donations under rupees 2,000 can be given anonymously to political parties. While this is a lot less than the 20,000 limit they had earlier, it's still really not that effective, since there's no restriction on the number of times these donations can be made, even by a single person. So in effect, what we have are many political parties across the spectrum claiming to have received anonymous donations up to the tune of 100%. So apparently these parties managed to raise hundreds of crores of rupees from tens of thousands of people, with each donation being about rupees 1,999 only. Sure. Secondly, we have the epic issue of electoral bonds. Hashtag corruptocracy. Now, obviously, dividing these huge chunks of money into small donations of rupees 2,000 is a lot of hassle. So the government came up with a scheme to enable political funding anonymously through electoral bonds.
The Election Commission recently wrote to the government objecting to changes in the law which exempt political parties from revealing details of donations received through electoral bonds. These bonds had been announced by the finance minister in the last budget.
Now the system goes like this. If you want to fund a political party for X amount, you go to the nearest prescribed branch of State Bank of India and buy electoral bonds worth rupees X. Now you can take this electoral bond and donate it to any political party of your choice. Being a tax deductible bond, neither the party who made the donation nor the political party who received it can be scrutinized. What's more, with an amendment to the FCRA, foreign companies through their Indian subsidiaries can also now fund political parties through electoral bonds. This amendment also retrospectively exempts these political parties from any scrutiny in receiving foreign funds all the way back to 1976. I mean, like, kuch bhi. Now, how can we fix this? Well, democracy is expensive and it takes a lot of money to reach 900 million voters. And at the same time, political funding is also very diffused and really hard to control. But the least we could ask for is a little more transparency in this matter.
Unregulated, undisclosed, and opaque political funding can threaten the very fabric of democracy and governance.
In enabling this transparency, perhaps we could look at two avenues. To begin with, bring all political parties under the ambit of the Right to Information Act.
It means that anyone who wants to access information, instead of catching the nose by this way by going to the Election Commission and getting the information, or going to the Income Tax Department and getting the information, they simply ask you.
This is something that has been spoken about by civil society organizations for many years, but there's been zero political will to make this a reality. Secondly, limit anonymous donations. Anonymity allows cronies to unduly affect policies and politics. After all, if someone is giving your neta crores of rupees, at least you and the other voters should be aware of it. If you want accountability from your netas, there has to be transparency in who's funding them. Informed choices do not come from uninformed masses. And unless you inform your voters, the entire concept of one person, one vote, one value is pretty meaningless.